Guess who just got the tea about what's going over on MAGA sides, specifically with the farmers in Arkansas? Child, them Trump tariffs is kicking their asses so bad that at the most recent NEA meeting representative assembly that took place on Friday, the farmers in Arkansas all collectively broke down in prayer. They started calling on to God. They started calling on to God because they cannot trust that Donald Trump is actually going to keep his word. See, the big beautiful bill, which a lot of these Arkansas farmers voted for, and the Trump administration is currently renaming because it did not accurately describe what was in the bill, promised a lot of the people in the agriculture industry benefits that a lot of these businesses will not live to see as they all take effect in 2026, 2027. Late 2026 and early 2027 to be exact. But like I stated, a lot of those businesses will not be around long enough to see it come into fruition. Apparently, around that time, a quarter of the farming industry in Arkansas will be out of business. You already know that I always come with the evidence. I always have the clip. So stay tuned for the clip provided by ABC7.
The government steps in to save them. Farmers had no one to turn to but God. Farmers are lobbying. It's only they're closer today than anyone else on this earth because we deal with your earth every day. You know, we're hurting you. We can't deal with what's happened to us.
Dear Lord, we are hurting here, Lord. We can't help what has happened to us. You actually could have helped it because you could have voted against it. Y'all could have voted for Kamala, but like you stated, she has a weird laugh. And here's a screenshot of the article. You can go and find it. Let's read along to the title. People have little sympathy for the Arkansas farmers who are asking Trump for emergency funding to save their farms. And because they can't trust on Trump to actually come through with these emergency funds, they started praying. I probably should have highlighted what I'm about to read, but it's in quotations at the top. It says, I have never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on. Welcome to the mentality of the average Black American here. Welcome to the mentality of the average Hispanic Latino person here. Welcome to the mentality of the average marginalized group member here in America. And to think that all of this could have been avoided, had you just listened to those same marginalized groups. If you would have just listened to the Black Americans here in this country, to the 92%, if you would have just listened. And now, ironically, the same tool that you used to oppress the marginalized groups in this country, the Black Americans in this country, the formerly enslaved people of America, religion, Christianity, prayer, is now the only tool that you can rely on because you can't trust in your government to look out for you. You can't trust in your government to help you. How fucking ironic. And just a reminder, because I know y'all like to forget, right? Anytime, historically speaking, by the way, the Black Americans of this country stated that they needed help, they wanted to be treated fairly, they wanted equality, you told them to pray harder. You sent them to church. You told them to pray harder. That if it's really meant for them, all they had to do was pray harder and God was going to hear them. So that's my advice to you, you farmers in Arkansas. Pray harder, okay? Just keep praying. However, I do have a strong inkling that we are not praying to the same gods. I know the God that I pray to. There's only one. I don't know what you're praying to, but pray harder, okay? God bless America.
Hi, lovelies. How you all doing? Hope you guys are doing very well. In case you're just seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Olivia, and thank you for stopping by. You see, guys, I feel for the farmers in Arkansas. Honestly, working day and night only to watch your crops fail and your family struggle, that's painful, and no one deserves that. All right, but now we all have to tell ourselves the truth. We all know that these are the same folks who voted for Trump, right? These are the same people who said they wanted to be on their own. Like they don't want any colored human being to be around them, right? See, let me tell you something here. You can't push people away when times are good for you, then call for unity only when you're hurting. Okay? You guys, Trump has disappointed you. And now you're calling on the black people to come and rescue you, and you're calling on God to come and rescue you. This is crazy. And this is a lesson I think each and every one of us need to learn. All right. But let's keep watching what people have to say, of course, about this whole thing. And please let me know what you think in the comment section. I really want to know what you think in the comment section, all right? And please, honey, don't forget to, subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up, of course. So let's keep watching, guys.
Listen to me. Racism is the poison in Arkansas soil. That's right, racism. Last week, hundreds of Arkansas farmers stood in a room and broke down in prayer in front of their elected officials. They weren't praying for rain, guys. They weren't praying for sunshine. They weren't even praying for a bumper crop. They were praying because their farms, their family land, their way of life is collapsing under tariffs and trade wars. And here's the truth. Those tariffs, that trade war, that whole playbook was born out of racism. Farmers were told the story that punishing foreigners would make America strong again. They were told to clap when leaders wagged their finger at China, Mexico, or whoever else they decided was the villain of the week. They were told it was patriotism, but really it was racism dressed up in red, white, and blue, and farmers bought it. They cheered it. They co-signed it. And now they are the ones paying the bill. Look at soybeans. Without tariffs, U.S. beans leaving New Orleans are cheaper than Brazil. But with tariffs, suddenly Brazil is winning. And who did that? Not God, not nature, not fate, your own leaders waving a racist flag and calling it strength. And the farmers who clapped for it are now on their knees begging for help. This isn't the first time. History is packed with proof that racism bankrupts the very people it fuels. Jim Crow didn't just brutalize black citizens. It strangled the Southern economy for generations. Segregation didn't just rob black kids of opportunity. It robbed the entire South of progress, creativity, and prosperity. The Chinese Exclusion Act of the 1880s, it cut off immigrant labor that helped build America, leaving industries starved. Japanese internment during World War II, well, that destroyed businesses, farms, and families, and the whole economy bore the cost. Every single time America lets racism drive policy, the poison spreads. It never just hits the target. It always circles back. And now here we are again. Farmers in Arkansas prayed out loud last week because they're broke, and they know it. And some of them voted for this mess. Some of them cheered when the tariffs went into place because they thought it would put others in their place. But you can't hate and expect to harvest prosperity. You cannot poison your neighbor's well without eventually drinking from it yourself. So let's call this what it is. Racism is the poison in your soil. It's why your crops can't compete. It's why your barns are empty. It's why you bowed your head in front of men in suits who don't care about you at all beyond your vote. Racism doesn't just starve the people you think are your enemies, it starves you. Arkansas, this is your wake-up call. You can pray all you want, but you have to face the truth. Nothing changes unless you do. Racism isn't strength, it's weakness. It's not power, it's poison. It's killing your farms, your family, and your future. Please wake up.
Oh, good evening to you. We begin tonight with hundreds of struggling Arkansas farmers pleading for emergency federal funding amid a farm economy crisis.
Channel 7's Andrew Mobley attended a meeting between farmers and federal officials earlier today in Brookland in northeast Arkansas and has more tonight. Andrew.
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs. Not to mention bad weather earlier in the year.
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up, so after a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big beautiful bill provided a much needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy is currently in. It's already taken its toll this year.
I'm a sixth-generation farmer from Newport, and we made the decision to go out this year. In the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
5 of my customers have committed suicide. That's how serious that this is.
Today, Arkansas farmers gathered to share their struggles with staffers from the state's congressional delegation, pleading for Arkansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the governor to convince President Trump to provide emergency funding to help them make it to next year.
We have to have ad hoc payments right now to make it through this year.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Their cries for help did not appear to fall on deaf ears.
We're going to take your message, we're going to get it back to D.C., we're going to do everything we can to get you the help you need.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Farmers, in my opinion, dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer to thee than anyone else on this earth because we deal with your earth every day. Dear Lord, we're hurting, dear Lord. We can't help what's happened to us.
It's hard not to be moved by the cries of the people who put food on your table. On your side, I'm Andrew Mobley.
Drew, thanks so much. And in a joint statement, Senators John Bozeman and Tom Cotton, along with Congressman Rick Crawford, write that they are happy to continue to hear from farmers around Northeast Arkansas and promise that relief is coming. They also say, we are proud to have delivered multiple forms of key support and assistance that combined total over $80 billion since last December. These reforms and investments, once implemented, will help address economic challenges and natural disasters to preserve family farms.
Just to continue the conversation a little bit more about the Arkansas farmers who are now FAFOing, and the video that I did of course it's the video where like I didn't try super hard and like the thumbnail is of my chipmunk cheeks, but that's neither here nor there. As far as like the FAFOing, at one point I did say, I was like, I don't wish FAFO on farmers. I am not above FAFO. Let me put it that way. I love a good FAFO, Trump FAFO video as much as anybody else. There, I think with farmers is that I don't need to wish it on them. It is happening. They are losing their farms. Bankruptcies have increased. They're higher than they were last year. They will continue to increase, and next year will be just as bad because whatever international customers they had are now gone. And to speak to, they should grow things in the United States. I don't disagree with that. That is not how it is set up. So there are, besides bailouts, farmers receive significant amount of government subsidies to stabilize the market. A lot of their like wheat and things like that would be bought by USAID and contracts with, SNAP and USDA programs and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, we grow way more soybeans than we would even have the ability to process. And also Americans, like, we don't need that many soybeans, and they're used for other things too as well, but we don't have like the manufacturing and processing. And so I'm not opposed to doing those things per se, but that is a long-term plan. That is not like we're pulling the plug and we're charging tariffs and now you get to build factories. That takes a really long time. And so the other thing too about FAFOing for farmers is many people don't know, but they have a very high self-unaliving rate. It's about 3.5 times higher than the general public. It is risky business. You have all of the inherent risks that come with running a business, plus everything that comes with a business that is dependent on weather, on disease, on markets, and everything else. And so it is also run a lot on debt, which is a lot of where government subsidies and programs and support comes from. And somebody asked, like, don't they see the difference between, how the government supports and subsidizes them and like an individual receiving welfare? No, they do not. They just don't. It is to them, that is business. That is how you do it. And that is to them different, not to me. And I think there are a lot of farmers who do realize that they're supporting that. And there's good reasons for the government to do that, that I think most Americans support. However, when it comes to bailing them out after they have voted against their own self-interests, yeah, they lose a lot of sympathy there. And the Seattle Times did a good article a few months ago. I'll do a screenshot and you guys can go back and find it if you want. But basically talking to farmers and how the mass deportations were affecting them. And repeatedly they would say, he said he was going to go after criminals. right? He said he was going to do that. Now, for those of us who don't support Trump and who have pattern recognition, know that not to listen to what he says. He's a psychopath and a narcissist. I do think that there is a character trait, especially amongst farmers, that, well, he said he's going to do it, so that's what he's going to do. Why good old boys gave up the whole idea of not trusting the government and big slick business guys from New York City to lick the loafers of Donald Trump, I don't know. It should be studied. Certainly there is a level of racism for a lot of them. I do think that that is hidden under the, well, he said this is what he said he's going to do, and now he's not going to do it. But also, how do you excuse that now they won't blame him, right? It's the government's fault, but they won't say that it's Trump's fault, right? And just that it is deeply, deeply embedded in who farmers are to be conservative and to be Republican, right? Pick yourself up by your bootstraps good, socialism bad, even though they are heavily reliant on socialist programs, the ones that the limited amount that we have here. So it is an interesting dynamic. And I, there are consequences and they are feeling them. I would be a lot more enthusiastic in this particular FAFO if I knew that these farms were getting bought up by other family farms, by other individuals who, for whatever reason, are making it and can pick up these farms for pennies on the dollar, but that's not what's going to happen. It will be corporate farms who do not have capitalism, the interests of the American people at heart. So whatever makes them the most money is what they are going to do. And for them to not do that will require more government intervention. And I don't know if this government will do that or how we'll recover that power. So, I mean, somebody made a comment about how Bill Gates, and he's not my least favorite billionaire, but he still owns 50 to 70 farms down in Louisiana. So the wealthy, the corporations, the corporate farms are going to be picking these up. So there's a difference between like the smaller family farms that you will see at your farmers markets and these corporate farms that are, thousands of acres big, but they still operate usually around a business model of debt. And so when they suddenly lose that income, when they've already put the expenses forth, that will take them under, and a bigger corporation or some tech bro or somebody else is going to come in and snatch up their farm.
So I saw that the soybean farmers in the state of Arkansas are having a find out phase. And you know what I hate to say? I told you so. No, seriously, I'm really sick and tired of the fact that the left keeps having to say, I told you so, because we didn't want anybody to suffer, okay? We voted for everybody to survive and thrive, and you voted for the suffering of other people, and here we are. You are actually the one who is paying the price and suffering, because you can't sell your soybeans to China because what's that? Tariffs. You can't get that new farming equipment that you needed because of why? Tariffs. Didn't the experts tell you that? Didn't people warn you this would happen? But no, you let your internalized hate, racism, and misogyny override literal facts that were right there in front of your face that made you vote against your own best interests. And here you are, expecting a government bailout yet again. You didn't want anybody else to get government bailouts. That's socialism, and you don't like that. So what makes you so different and so deserving when you voted against government money going to anybody who has stumbled upon a hard time? Why do you get it? What makes you better than other people? Again, I don't like that we are having to say, I told you so. Okay, I wanted you to do well. I wanted you to survive and thrive. But this is what you voted for.
On today's episode of Fuck Around and Find Out for MAGA, Arkansas. The farmers in Arkansas are now crying and whining, begging and pleading their state representative for help because the votes that they put in for the big, beautiful bill has now come back to bite them in the ass, and they don't know what to do. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. So just a couple of days ago, it was reported by several news stations, especially, ABC, NBC, all of them, that the farmers they came together and was like, look, shit not working out. Not only are the prices soaring entirely too high, but ever since for all of 2025 and practically half of 2024, farming ain't been the same. Like it's been shit. They haven't been able to make much of a profit, and even worse, they've been barely breaking even, baby, barely. But mind you, girl, mind you, while the article itself does go deep into the issues that are happening in Arkansas, some of the issues could have been prevented, some of them couldn't have, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. There's been several storms in 2025. The most major one was the recent one that they had that destroyed well over 250,000 of the crops, right? So boom. Had you voted accurately, those subsidiaries that were supposed to protect you in case this inclement weather shit happened, or if FEMA or anybody else that's supposed to be representing the farmers because it's a $1 billion industry, would have already been in place. So basically, they get up on the mic and they're like, yeah, me, my son, my dad, and my dad's dad, and my peepaw, my great granddaddy. I come from 6 generations of farming, and we are all about to lose our farms. Yeah, because that's what you voted for. You voted for someone who destroyed the tariffs. Then who literally went to tariff wars with the same people that manufacture the equipment that you buy for the low ski. Yeah, you voted for that man who went to tariff war with the person who builds, creates, manufactures, puts it together, ships it over, all for a fraction of the price of the equipment that you would be getting made on American soil that is just eventually going to break the fuck down. You voted for that guy. Then you voted for the hands that help ensure that y'all are able to get the crops up and that you're able to manage said crops no matter come rain, hail, sleet, or snow. They out there and they getting it done. Then if that ain't worse, y'all also was loud and proud about your support of the big, beautiful bill. Even after y'all saw the shit that he had did to y'all initially. And that he wasn't actually going to fulfill any of the promises that he had made. Baby, you voted for this. Then they said, well, what happened to the subsidiaries that's supposed to protect all the farmers? They said, oh yeah, the money isn't the issue. The state told them farmers, looked them dead in their face and said, the money isn't the issue. The money is there. They said, well, why can't we get relief? Why can't we get help? They said, because the access to the money ain't supposed to be until 2026. I'm sorry. You voted for the money to be accessed in 2026, not 2025. So you got to figure it out. You're going to have to find a way to make it enough. I don't know what to tell you, but I can't give it to you until 2026. Sorry. I swear to God, I got the article. Y'all want to see? Hundreds of struggling farmers ask federal government to save them. You mean the same federal government that y'all voted for? That did this to y'all? That put in a safety net, but unfortunately you don't have the access code quite yet. They said access denied. Sorry. As you can see in this article, it says here almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas's farmers went wrong this year, leaving many facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. Well. Damn, Ancestors is working overtime right now. Not the generational wealth being at stake. And the best part about it is you did this. You voted for this. You voted for your generational wealth. You telling us about your son and how he's supposed to be 7th generation. You voted for it, baby. Ain't gonna be no 7th generation. Ain't gonna be no 7th generation, baby. They said it, nothing we can do about it. I'm so sorry. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices means there's little hope of breaking even as input costs soar because of inflation and tariffs. Read it in motherfucking week. The consequences of your own actions. Yours. Nobody else's but yours. All you had to do was read it in motherfucking week. All you had to do was read. Pay it to comprehend. And they set y'all asses up. The party you voted for sets you up for failure. Promised you the world and delivered nothing but a hole in the motherfucking penny. Then that man had the audacity to get up in front of the whole world in the Oval Office and hold up a bunch of graphs to prove to the investors, the international investors, that America's economy actually is flourishing and it's on the up and up. The graphs he used was the rising amounts of unemployment and inflation annually. And they made sure the font was too small for anybody to read it. But somebody zoomed in on it. That was the inflation rates. That was also the rates of unemployment. It was a cross comparative analyzation of the inflation rates and it being linked to the unemployment rates. So yeah. I don't know what else to say. Like, sorry to those men, sorry to those families. Like, better luck next vote. You got 3 more years of this. We're not even through the first year. We told you. We begged y'all not to do this to yourselves. And you did it anyways. You did it anyways. First it was, oh, maybe we should not have voted for immigration. Your fucking thing. Now, not only do you not have anyone who's going to manage those fields the way that they were managed before, but you also can't even break even because the costs are continuously rising due to tariffs and inflation. And you voted for it. Child.
So we talked about this on my platform a couple of different times. And so it seems like it's coming back up on my timeline again. So let's talk about it. So once again, the subject of farmers, specifically the ones that are out in Arkansas, is starting to come up on my timeline. Now, these farmers right now, they are literally begging their state representatives, their federal representatives to do anything to try to get the attention of Donald Trump and his administration to do anything or something because they're about to lose their farms. One man on this news feed that I came across said, and I quote, "This is his 29th cycle of crops, and this is by far the worst that he's ever seen." But Arkansas, how you conveniently forget that you did not vote for Donald Trump once, but y'all voted for him twice. Y'all went red for him twice. And y'all stuck y'all foot so far up y'all mouth that to the point of where China was getting 25% of your soybeans. Guess where they're getting it now? Yeah, they're getting it from Brazil. And then on top of that, y'all conveniently forgot the money that we had to spend to bail multiple farms out during his first administration. The farms that end up going bankrupt and losing, people were losing their farms during his first administration. Y'all forgot, but I didn't forget. See, my sympathy only goes so far. And at this point, I have zero. I have none whatsoever. Stop being pussies. Take care of your own farms because we don't care. Bail your own self out. Strap up, boo. It's going to be a long ride.
I'm a 6th-generation farmer from Newport, Arkansas. I grew up farming next to my parents, who are here today. I have, in their retirement for the past 10 years, been the primary operator of our farm, which is 2,000 acres of soybeans, corn, rice, and wheat. But what I should say today is that I used to be a 6th-generation farmer. In February, we made the decision to close our farm. We joined many other farming families making this heartbreaking choice to avoid significant financial strain, financial hardship before it was too late. Many more families like mine will make similarly hard choices this month, in the next few weeks. The ag economy is the worst it has been since the farm crisis of 1980, when the U.S. lost 1 in every 4 farms. And that's because the price we're paying for the crop we produce is so low, and the cost to produce that crop is so high that not a single commodity crop in Arkansas is profitable for farmers. Because agriculture is such an important economic driver in the United States, and because food production is a national security issue, the government steps in tough times to help farmers. Yesterday, I watched strangers pull away my tillage equipment. They drove my tractors away like combines. They loaded my power units and my fuel tanks onto trailers. Today, as I stand here, people are picking up the very last pieces of 6 generations of farming. And the people that we elected to protect us are eating a ballroom with $7,000 a plate. I don't care whether you have an R or a D next to your name. I have no use for politicians that play dress up in cowboy boots and say they care about farmers and then do nothing in our hour of need. I don't necessarily have an ask for the people here, but I think y'all should know what's happening in farm country in Arkansas. Vote them out! And I thank you all for listening.
I tell you guys that I can't even keep up with all the fuck around and find outs going on in this country. Believe me, I cannot keep up. I had to learn about this from a commenter on one of my earlier videos because there's so much of this shit going on. Listen to this. 64% of Arkansas voters voted for Donald Trump in 2024. 77% of Arkansas farmers supported Donald Trump in 2024. And guess what's happening right now? Arkansas farmers are struggling because of Donald Trump's tariffs. And they don't want to raise themselves up by the bootstraps to take care of these issues. No, you know what they want? They want government handouts. They want welfare. The people who support the party who is against government handouts, who's against welfare, who wants you to raise yourselves up by the bootstraps when you have any type of problem, those people are saying, we want welfare. Where's our welfare? If we don't get welfare, many of us are going to have to apply for bankruptcy. All types of issues going on in Arkansas with their farmers because of the guy they supported. They're getting exactly what they voted for, and they want us to give a damn. I don't. What inflation? Donald Trump told me he solved inflation. He said inflation was bad under Joe Biden, but he solved inflation. So what are they talking about? And tariffs? What tariffs? Not the tariffs that brought in $8 trillion of revenue. Can't be talking about those tariffs. I know those tariffs aren't causing problems for farmers because Donald Trump told us tariffs were going to make us all rich. So what the fuck are they talking about?
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up. So after a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big, beautiful bill provided a much-needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy is currently in. It's already taken its toll this year.
I'm a 6th-generation farmer from Newport, and we made the decision to go out this year, in the spring. So my son will not be the 7th generation on our farm.
So her family are 6 generations of farmers, and she's saying that her sons will not be a 7th generation of farmers, all because of Donald Trump's policies. And here's the thing. There are already subsidies in place that these people are supposed to get in December of 2026, but that's not soon enough for them. They need their welfare right now.